Welcome back to BeYoungMinistry.blogspot.com, to another blog and another podcast. If you have not signed up for the podcasts, you can go to the Be Young Ministry YouTube channel and subscribe to the podcasts, and make sure you click on that bell next to the subscribe word so that you will get a notification every time a podcast is uploaded on YouTube. Today we're in Luke chapter 5, verses 33 through 39, which reads, "They said to him, John's disciples often fast and pray, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees. But yours go on eating and drinking." Jesus answered, "Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. In those days they will fast." He told them this parable. "No one tears a piece out of a new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise they will have torn the new garment, and the patch from which the new will not match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the new wine will burst the skins. The wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. And no one, after drinking old wine, wants the new, for they say the old is better." That's Luke chapter 5, verses 33 through 39. The gospel of Jesus Christ, the message of forgiveness through the work of Jesus Christ on the cross, is unique. It is incompatible with any and all other religious belief. It stands alone. Grace is God's idea, the God of the Bible, that is. The idea that the Christian gospel can mix with or blend with any other religious system in any way is absolutely wrong. This is clear in our text for today, and it explains why there was such an ongoing conflict between the religious leaders of Judaism and the Lord Jesus. The hostility from the religious leaders was based upon the fact that Jesus came with a gospel that totally replaced the religion of Judaism. The religious leaders were self-righteous. This erroneous posture caused them to disassociate themselves from all people that they deemed unclean. They didn't soil themselves by going into a Gentile house or hanging around with tax gatherers and prostitutes. The Lord Jesus, on the other hand, associated with them all the time. He was known as the sinner, a friend of sinners and tax collectors. The religious did not understand this about the Lord Jesus. They didn't understand that he was the friend of sinners and tax collectors and the friend of drunkards, because those were the kind of people who were willing to be redeemed. And subsequently, those were the kind of people whom he came to redeem. In verse 33, we read, "They said to him, John's disciples often fast and pray, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees. But yours go on eating and drinking." The religious leaders were questioning the spirituality of the followers of the Lord Jesus. They wrongly equated spirituality with the good that a human can do. The religious leaders espoused a routine of prayers and fasting, which were of their own invention. This is found in Leviticus chapter 16, verses 29 through 31. And the fasting was a fasting of sorrow over their sin. At some point, the Jews decided that fasting was spiritual. So they invented routine fasts and prayers. These were not commanded by God. According to verse 34, the Lord Jesus said to them, "Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while he is with them?" Weddings often lasted 7 days, and fasting was out of place at a wedding. Fasting was linked with sorrowful prayer, as we considered before, and it was to be done on the Day of Atonement. It was an expression of sorrow over sin. At a wedding, it was out of place. It would have been completely ridiculous for the Lord Jesus' disciples to fast and mourn when the long-awaited Messiah was in their presence. And again, he just shows how completely out of touch the religious leaders were with reality. Then the Lord Jesus adds in verse 35, "But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. In those days they will fast." For them, in the very near future, the joy was going to end. That is, the disciples, because the bridegroom was to be taken from them. This is the first reference we have in Luke's gospel by the Lord Jesus of his death. We read in verses 36 through 39, "He told them this parable. No one tears a piece of a new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise they will have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the new wine will burst the skins. The wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. And no one, after drinking old wine, wants the new, for they say, the old is better." The Lord Jesus came to provide us with a complete break with religion, or man's attempts to earn the favor of God. In order to get his point across, the Lord Jesus uses these illustrations. And through these illustrations, found here in verses 34 through 39, he's making this point. The gospel of grace is not compatible with what the Jews had made of Judaism. And for those who aren't willing to come out of their false religions to the gospel, there is no hope. The gospel of the Lord Jesus is the good news that there is hope for even the worst of sinners. This is his guarantee of forgiveness, his guarantee of reconciliation, and his guarantee of holiness and wholeness. Let the hungry and let the thirsty come. Let anyone who desires the gift of life receive it without a price. My friends, I trust this podcast and this blog are useful to you in your walk with the Lord. If I could be of further assistance to you, shoot me an email at beyoungministry@gmail.com. Hey, have a great day.